Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. This is your host, Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I am going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, and college basketball. So before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. I also want to say happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I hope you all have a great Valentine's Day with your family, your friends. To start off with some Major League Baseball, Sergio Romo and the Marlins have agreed to a one-year contract. Melky Cabrera and the Pirates have agreed to a minor league deal. Spring training is around the corner, and throughout next week, the rest of the team rosters are going to report to their spring training facilities in Arizona and Florida. So the beginning of spring training baseball is around the corner. Many pitchers and catchers on teams in Arizona and in Florida have already reported to their facilities. Also, position players have been reporting as well. It's not mandatory that they're there yet, but it's voluntary. And heading into the end of this week and going into next week, then the position players and the rest of the rosters expected to show up to their spring training facility. And believe it or not, we're getting closer and closer to spring training baseball. But just so you know, regular season baseball is also around the corner, and before you know it, it's going to be here. Right now, I'm going to tell you the free agents that are on the market still. There are many big name free agents that are currently available, which includes Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Mike Moustakas, Marvin Gonzalez, Craig Kimbrell, Dallas Keuchel, Carlos Gonzalez, and Matt Holliday, to name off some of the big names. So, with pitchers and catchers already reporting to spring training and the position players reporting in the next few days, this ended up being just like last year, where we have big name free agents still on the market. The mandatory dates of when you need to arrive to your spring training facility is already coming up. And we still got big names that haven't been signed to a contract, and they're currently not on a team right now. So hopefully in the coming days or in the coming weeks before the regular season starts, we will see some of these big names get signed to a contract, but especially Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. Throughout the offseason, Bryce Harper and Manny Machado have visited teams, or teams have visited them. For Manny Machado, there's been offers thrown out. The White Sox have thrown out an offer, but Machado really hasn't accepted it or said if he would take it or not. There's also been rumors of what teams Harper's going to go to, what teams Machado's going to go to. But there's also another rumor out too that Bryce Harper or Manny Machado does not want to be the first player to sign their new contract. So really it's just coming down to a wait and see game. I wish that they would have already signed to a team in January or before spring training starts, but that's not the situation here. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens here. But there's definitely a few teams that have been rumored to acquire Bryce Harper or Manny Machado or both. So I would definitely keep an eye out on the Phillies. They have a lot of money to spend. They want to make their team better. They fell short of the playoffs last year. They want to get into the playoffs. The National League East is definitely going to be very competitive. The White Sox would be another team to watch. They have a lot of money to spend. And the Padres would be another team to watch, since they have a lot of money to spend too. So just going to have to wait and see what happens with free agency. Also, there's also players that could be traded still leading up to the regular season, which includes some big name pitchers and some position players. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens there as well. But with spring training around the corner, not really a whole lot of trading will probably happen. Not until the baseball trade deadline that happens at the end of July. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NFL football. The Ravens traded quarterback Joe Flacco to the Broncos, and the Broncos gave a 4th-round pick to the Ravens. So this move's not official. If you look into the media, you look online or on the news, especially within the Broncos and the Ravens organization, you might have noticed that they're not really reporting or telling the story or showing that they're excited about it. That's because we're not in the new league year yet. The NFL league year starts on March 13th, so this trade's not really official yet, even though it's stated that it happened. It's not official until March 13th. That's when the new league year starts. So once that day comes, then it'll be official. That's also when free agency begins as well. So expect some moves to happen after March 13th. Between now and then, not a whole lot can happen. But for the Broncos, this was a big move for them. Throughout this offseason, it looked like that the Broncos were going to go after 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, either Joe Flacco or Nick Foles. Both would have been a great option, but as the Eagles stated, they picked up backup quarterback Nick Foles' $20 million salary, and he's expected to be in an Eagles uniform this season. But once the league year starts, they can end up having him become a free agent, or he could opt in, opt out of his contract, or be traded. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. That was their first option. They contacted the Eagles, but it looks like the Eagles want to keep their quarterback. Now with the Ravens, they were looking like they wanted to move on from Joe Flacco. They drafted Lamar Jackson with the 32nd pick in the 1st round in last year's draft. And after the Ravens didn't start out their season that great, they turned to Lamar Jackson. He had a great season, a great rookie season for the Ravens. He led them into the playoffs. Throughout the season, head coach John Harbaugh was also on the hot seat as well, but since the Ravens were able to get into the playoffs, Coach Harbaugh's spot is safe. Also, they want to move on with Lamar Jackson. They believe that's going to be their quarterback of the future and their franchise quarterback. But Joe Flacco, with him having playoff experience, he won Super Bowl 47 with the Ravens. After the Broncos lost Super Bowl 50 and they had quarterback Peyton Manning, since then they have switched from many different quarterbacks. They've had losing seasons. They haven't been able to get into the playoffs. Even with them acquiring Case Keenum last year, the Broncos finished 6-10 in the 2018 season. They missed the playoffs once again. Case Keenum throughout his career has mainly been a backup quarterback, not really a starting quarterback. The way he played, it really can't determine if he's a starter or a backup quarterback. He looks more as a backup quarterback. So the Broncos want to have a starting quarterback. They want someone that has playoff experience. And in 2019, the Broncos want to get back to their winning ways, possibly, hopefully win their division, get into the playoffs after missing it the last few years. Maybe we'll see Joe Flacco win a Super Bowl for the Broncos. That's just going to be a wait and see. But I believe this is a great move for the Broncos because they need a quarterback that has playoff experience. With the Broncos having the 10th pick in this year's draft, they could still end up drafting one of the quarterbacks, or they could end up drafting someone that they need in other positions that might be more of a priority than the quarterback position. But if John Elway sees one of those quarterbacks available, he might draft a quarterback and believe that that's going to be our quarterback of the future, because now Joe Flacco's in his mid-30s, so he's not going to be able to be the quarterback for that many seasons. So we're just going to have to wait and see what the Broncos do in the draft, what they do in free agency, and if they improve the team this offseason, they can definitely get back to their winning ways and get back into the playoffs, and hopefully in the next few years get back to the Super Bowl as well. On February 12, 2019, Antonio Brown posted on his social media pages, "Thank you, Steeler Nation, for a big 9 years. Time to move on and forward." Antonio Brown has requested to be traded from the Steelers. Of course, there are many teams that would be interested in acquiring Antonio Brown, and some of the teams interested are the 49ers, Raiders, Jets, Bills, Colts, and Browns. Looking from the outside, as a fan or as a spectator, it looked like the Steelers had some tension within the organization between head coach Mike Tomlin, quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. With the Le'Veon Bell situation, this didn't make it any better. And now with Antonio Brown, it looks like this offseason, the Steelers are going to trade or move on from both Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. There's definitely many teams that would be interested in both of them because they're two of the best players in the NFL, and they're the best players of their position as well. I hope the Broncos, even though they're going to be a long shot, would consider maybe trading for Antonio Brown. That would definitely be a great wide receiver for Joe Flacco to throw to. And since Antonio Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, any team would want to have him. So that would be another great move for the Broncos, but we're just going to have to wait and see if the Steelers do move on from Antonio Brown and what team he lands up going to. The Browns are going to sign former Chiefs running back Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt isn't eligible to play until the NFL completes their investigation of the two incidents he was involved in, and he will probably serve a suspension once the NFL season starts. So going back to December, TMZ released these videos of Kareem Hunt shoving and kicking a woman in a Cleveland hotel. And after those videos were released, the Chiefs landed up releasing Kareem Hunt. There was also another familiar case like this, but it was a domestic violence case, which included Ray Rice. And since that happened, Ray Rice hasn't been back in the NFL. But because Kareem Hunt is a young, talented running back, after he was released by the Chiefs, and the Chiefs stated that they would never let him back on the team ever again, according to multiple reports, many other teams would be interested in acquiring Kareem Hunt just because of his talent. And he was a great running back when he was on the Chiefs. But if he lands up staying on the Browns roster and once the season starts, he will probably serve a lengthy suspension that will last a few games. He could possibly be fined as well, but the NFL still needs to complete their investigation of the situation. The Texans released wide receiver Demaryius Thomas after he suffered a season-ending Achilles injury in Week 16 after only being with the Texans for 7 games. So he suffered this injury not being on the Texans for that long, and just in the last few days, the Texans decided that they are going to move on from Demaryius Thomas. It'll be interesting to see the next team Demaryius Thomas will play with. I don't think there will be a possible reunion of Demaryius Thomas returning back to the Broncos. The Panthers re-signed safety Eric Reed to a 3-year contract. The Saints are going to hire former Dolphins special teams coordinator Darren Rizzo to be their new special teams coordinator. Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray announced he has committed to pursuing a career as an NFL quarterback, and he will attend the NFL Combine. Kyler Murray had the option of being a quarterback in the NFL or playing baseball with the Athletics. So throughout Kyler Murray's college career, he was the quarterback for Oklahoma. He landed up winning the Heisman Trophy, and the year before that, Baker Mayfield, the quarterback for Oklahoma, also won the Heisman Trophy. Oklahoma was one of the best teams in college football, and last summer, Kyler Murray was playing baseball with the Oakland Athletics, and he had to decide, is it going to be football or baseball? He landed up picking football, which was probably his best decision, and I believe he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and he's going to have a lot more potential in the NFL as well. In the past, a lot of players would play football and baseball or 2 sports at the same time, You don't really see that a whole lot now, probably because the type of body you need and the type of schedule that you would have in football and baseball would interfere with each other, so usually players pick one or the other. Patrick Mahomes was drafted 10th overall by the Chiefs in the 2017 NFL Draft. On January 30th, 2018, he was named the starting quarterback after the Chiefs traded Alex Smith. In his first season, he led the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game. He finished the regular season with 5,097 passing yards and 50 touchdowns. He was named the 2018 MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year, and he was the fourth youngest MVP in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes definitely had a historic season with the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a great season overall, but unfortunately, their season came to an end after losing to the Patriots at Arrowhead Stadium in the AFC Championship game. It's too bad because I really did see the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl and possibly winning Super Bowl 53. But this is the beginning for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Throughout these next years and going into the future, the Chiefs is going to be the team to watch in the AFC. And they're going to be a hard team to beat in the AFC West. Definitely the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers have competition. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs is going to be the team to beat in the AFC with the Patriots. And once Tom Brady retires and the Patriots are not as good anymore, the Chiefs is definitely going to be the team that you need to keep an eye on. This is only the beginning. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will definitely be back into the playoffs many times, back to the AFC Championship game many times, and they will probably go to the Super Bowl many times. And Patrick Mahomes will probably win the Super Bowl many times as well. So definitely keep an eye out on the Chiefs going into the future. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the rest of the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. To continue in NFL football, in the last 5 years, Alabama head coach Nick Saban and Patriots head coach Bill Belichick have never won a championship title in the same year. The Patriots won the Super Bowl in 2014, 2016, and 2018. Alabama won the College Football National Championship in 2015 and 2017. Right now I'm going to tell you the story of Tom Brady. Many of you may not know the story of Tom Brady, so now you'll know. Tom Brady wasn't the first pick, and he didn't get drafted in the first round of the 2000 NFL Draft. Like we know, Peyton Manning and many other great quarterbacks were the first pick in the NFL Draft. They were drafted in the first round of the NFL Draft, but that wasn't Tom Brady's story. He had a different story. Tom Brady was drafted by the Patriots 199th overall in the 6th round of the 2000 NFL Draft. He got his first start in Week 3 of the 2001 season after Drew Bledsoe had to come out of the game with an injury, and the rest is history. Drew Bledsoe was a great quarterback for the Patriots. He was one of the best quarterbacks for the Patriots before Tom Brady. In 2000, Tom Brady told Patriots owner Robert Kraft he would be the best decision this organization has ever made. And that is very true. Tom Brady is the GOAT, and he has won 6 Super Bowls, and he has broken many records, and he is in the top 3 of almost every category quarterback-wise. So after the Patriots won Super Bowl 53, they just keep making history. And looking at Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Rob Gronkowski, there was rumors leading up to Super Bowl 53 that Super Bowl 53 would be their last game. They would retire after it, whether they won or lost. But there was also other rumors too that this ain't their last game. Tom Brady, yes, he's 41. He was one of the oldest quarterbacks to ever start a Super Bowl, but he still has a few years left. Tom Brady himself said he could play till 45 years old. So we're just going to have to wait and see, but I don't think Super Bowl 53 was the last of Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, or Rob Gronkowski. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, whether that was their last game ever in the NFL, they're going to be in the NFL for another year or two or a few more years going forward. They're definitely two of the best in the NFL and in all of sports as well. Now for Rob Gronkowski, he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL, despite his injuries that he's had the last few years. These last 2 years, after the Patriots have appeared in the Super Bowl, Rob Gronkowski has stated that this might be it for him and that he's going to have to retire due to the amount of injuries he has. It's only been a few weeks since the Patriots have won the Super Bowl, so in the coming weeks, Rob Gronkowski should make a decision if he's going to return back to the Patriots or he's going to hang it up and retire from the NFL. But I still believe Rob Gronkowski has a lot left in the tank. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, I expect to be back in 2019. Could that be their last season, or is it going to be 2020? We're just going to have to wait and see. The Patriots overall didn't have the best season in 2018, but they still won the Super Bowl. And I know the Patriots are going to try to come back and win their 7th Super Bowl so they can break that record of having the most Super Bowls held by a franchise. Right now they're tied with the Steelers for the most Super Bowl wins at 6, but I know they want number 7, so we're just going to have to wait and see. Definitely the Patriots have been one of the best teams in the NFL, and not just for a few years, the last 2 decades. There are not many teams in the NFL or in other sports that have been that good for that long, especially for 1 decade, 2 decades, more than that. It's only been like 1 year or a few years, not for that long of a time. So if you could tell me another team that has been better than the Patriots, and let me give you other teams that I believe have held up to this standard. And if there's a team that I'm missing, make sure to go to mymetmedia.com after I post All Sports with Gerardo episode 28's post on their website, and go to the comments down below and list or name a team that would be better than the Patriots. But the only other teams that I could think of is the San Antonio Spurs. They have been good the last 2 decades with head coach Greg Popovich. They have won 5 NBA Finals throughout that span. The Patriots, since 2001, they have won 6 Super Bowls with head coach Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And the only other teams that I would say have been better for a long period of time, the New York Yankees. There's a reason why they've won 27 World Series championships. They have had many great players, many great teams in the past, especially in the mid to late 1900s. The Boston Celtics, the Los Angeles Lakers have been great teams as well in the NBA. They have won a lot of finals. They have had some of the best players to ever play in the NBA as well. So if there's a team I'm missing, make sure to go to the comments down below and list that team, and I'll mention them next week. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NBA and NHL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NBA basketball. Russell Westbrook had 10 straight triple-doubles from January 22nd to February 11, 2019, which is the most consecutive triple-doubles in NBA history. So congrats to Russell Westbrook on breaking this record. Chris Paul moved into 8 in all-time assists and 11 in all-time steals. Chris Bosh plans to officially retire during his Heat ceremony in March when the Heat retire his jersey. Chris Bosh was a 2-time NBA champion and 11-time All-Star. On February 11, 2019, Dwayne Wade made his final appearance here at the Pepsi Center against the Nuggets. Before the game, the Nuggets played a tribute video and honored Dwayne Wade for all the years he's played here in the NBA. This is Dwayne Wade's last season and his one last dance in the NBA. So the One Last Dance tour stopped here on Monday here in Denver, Colorado, and at the Pepsi Center. And after every game the Heat are playing in, Dwayne Wade takes the time as he's walking off the court to sign autographs for all the fans as he's coming off the court for the last time at that arena in that city. So he signed for many people here at the Pepsi Center after the Heat Nuggets game, and believe it or not, I was one of the lucky ones to get Dwayne Wade's autograph. Dwayne Wade has definitely been one of my favorite players, and he is one of the best players that's ever played in the NBA as well. So I just want to say congrats to Dwayne Wade on having a great season. And once the One Last Dance comes to an end, I hope you enjoy retirement. 11 months after having hip surgery, Isaiah Thomas made his season debut with the Nuggets on February 13 against the Kings at the Pepsi Center. In his season debut with the Nuggets, Isaiah Thomas got a standing ovation from the Pepsi Center crowd when he entered the game late in the first quarter. The Nuggets beat the Kings 120-118, and Isaiah Thomas had 8 points and 2 assists in 13 minutes. Isaiah Thomas is going to have the role of coming off the bench for the Nuggets and playing with the reserves, and this could definitely help the Nuggets, especially with the injuries that they've had to their starters. This will help the bench too to play better. They can score more points, and when they have close games, they could potentially win more games and not be blown out or lose games that they should win. Isaiah Thomas is definitely going to help the Nuggets. When Isaiah Thomas was on the Celtics, he was definitely one of the best point guards in the NBA. Despite how short he is, he can shoot and he can make plays. So this is going to be a big move for the Nuggets, and this is going to be a great player for the Nuggets to have as well. So I'm happy to see Isaiah Thomas in a Nuggets uniform. With the All-Star break coming up, I'm glad that he's finally been able to suit up in a uniform after having to sit out up until now with his hip injury that he's been recovering from after having surgery almost 11 months ago. So Isaiah Thomas can definitely help the Nuggets, and if he plays like the Isaiah Thomas that we saw on the Celtics, this is really going to be a benefit to the Nuggets. If that injury didn't happen to Isaiah Thomas when he was on the Celtics, he definitely would have got a big contract and been one of the best point guards in the NBA. Enes Kanter has agreed to a deal with the Trailblazers. This weekend, the NBA All-Star Weekend takes place in Charlotte. The NBA All-Star Game is this Sunday between Team LeBron and Team Giannis. Participating in the Slam Dunk Contest, Dennis Smith Jr., Miles Bridges, John Collins, and Huma Dulo. Participating in the three-point contest, Chris Middleton, Steph Curry, Kemba Walker, Damian Lillard, Dirk Nowitzki, Danny Green, Seth Curry, Devin Booker, Joe Harris, and Buddy Hield. Participating in the Skills Challenge, Mike Conley, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox, Nikola Jokic, Kyle Kuzma, and Nikola Vucevic. Team LeBron includes Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard, Ben Simmons, LaMarcus Aldridge, Karl Anthony Towns, Bradley Beal, and Dwayne Wade. Team Giannis includes Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Kemba Walker, Chris Middleton, Nikola Jokic, Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, D'Angelo Russell, Nikola Vucevic, Kyle Lowry, and Dirk Nowitzki. So I'm glad that Dwayne Wade gets to be in his final All-Star game since it's his final year in the NBA. Dirk Nowitzki, I think it might be his final year in the NBA. He just hasn't really announced anything or made it as big of a deal, but once the NBA season comes to an end, I wouldn't be surprised if Dirk Nowitzki says he's retiring from the NBA. But Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki are definitely two of the best players to ever play in the NBA. Right now I'm going to give you the current NBA standings in the Eastern and Western Conference. So to start off in the Eastern Conference, at number 1 is the Milwaukee Bucks. At number 2 is the Toronto Raptors. At number 3 is the Indiana Pacers. And number 4 is the Boston Celtics. And number 5 is the Philadelphia 76ers. And number 6 is the Brooklyn Nets. And number 7 is the Charlotte Hornets. And at number 8 is the Detroit Pistons. That's the current standings in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, at number 1 is the Golden State Warriors. At number 2 is the Denver Nuggets. At number 3 is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And number 4 is the Portland Trail Blazers. And number 5 is the Houston Rockets. And number 6 is the Utah Jazz. And number 7 is the San Antonio Spurs. And at number 8 is the Los Angeles Clippers. So that's the current standings in the Western Conference. That's also the current standings in the Eastern and Western Conference of the NBA leading up to the All-Star break. In the Week 18 NBA Power Rankings, the current top 10 NBA basketball teams are the Warriors, Bucks, Raptors, Thunder, 76ers, Nuggets, Celtics, Trailblazers, Rockets, and Jazz. Moving on now to NHL hockey. Right now I'm going to give you the current NHL standings in the Eastern and Western Conference. In the NHL, the division standings go off the amount of goals the team scored, not by the wins or losses by the team. So to start off in the Eastern Conference, in the Metropolitan Division, right now the New York Islanders are leading this division at 72 points. And Washington's right behind them at 69 points. In the Atlantic Division, right now Tampa Bay is leading this division at 88 points. They have a big lead in this division. And the next closest team is Toronto at 73 points. In the Western Conference, in the Central Division, right now Winnipeg's leading this division at 75 points. And Nashville's right behind them at 71 points. In the Pacific Division, right now San Jose's leading this division at 75 points. And Calgary's right behind them at 74 points. That's the current NHL standings in the Eastern and Western Conference. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about college basketball and the end of the show. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to college basketball. In the men's college basketball AP Top 10 poll, the current top 10 college basketball teams are Tennessee, Duke, Gonzaga, Virginia, Kentucky, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Houston, and Marquette. Moving on now to end the show. What to watch for this week in sports? This week and going into next week, the rest of the team rosters report to their spring training facilities in Arizona and Florida. The NBA All-Star Weekend and the NBA All-Star Game this Sunday between Team LeBron and Team Giannis. NBA basketball, the Nuggets, college basketball. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, and college basketball. I hope you all have a great Valentine's Day with your family, friends, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.